Now, what we were talking about was Colin Kaepernick not standing for the national anthem. Now, his whole focus is not to be disrespectful to the country. Yet that is the reaction, okay? That's the reaction to what he has done. That's the reaction to what all the other football players have done. Because there's an understanding, and Noah yesterday labeled it as cultish, but there's an understanding that there is a method for being a part of this country when it comes to the national anthem, Pledge of Allegiance. You don't question it. And, I mean, I stand, I sing along. A lot of you do. I mean, we'll do it before the Pep Assembly today. So while it is something you're raised with, I think a lot of you know that you believe it now. I will say buy into it for that purpose, for being patriotic. And it does take you to being un-American. It's un-American to not stand for the national anthem. It's un-American to not celebrate the 4th of July. You know, those are things that show you how, as a country, we have a set core of ideals, values for what we are. And I tried to stress this yesterday. It's different if you look at us from outside of the country, okay? I know Sam has had exchange students live with him. Do they ever talk about how we do the national anthem all the time, or the flag?
Yeah, I did.
It's almost every exchange student.
Wow, that was very
I know. A lot of insight. Thanks, Sam. No, but they talk like we worship the flag. And is it a bad thing? I don't necessarily think so, but it is a different thing. And it's something that we as a country do really put a lot of emphasis on. And I know that's just one example of what we're talking about with American political culture, but still it exists. It persists for some good reasons. What?
I think the reason that people follow the flag, so to speak, is, I mean, this is one of the only countries that you can say you hate something or completely go against the government, and it's still legal.
That's a great point. We and that is a part of our culture that represents more than just the country, more than just the military. It represents all of these ideals that we're talking about right now, the liberty to do what you want, the equality that the flag stands for. So that's why, you know, it's kind of just the norm that you are raised with, but it's not necessarily a bad thing that it's the expectation. So one of them is civic duty. You know, compared to other countries, we don't vote anywhere near what other countries do in terms of participation. So Australia is in the 90s. Why? Take a guess. Why is their turnout rate in the 90s? Michael? They have to. How do we vote? If you want to, but not only that, the deadline's coming up, by the way. So tell your parents if they're not registered. You have to be registered. Other countries, it's automatically registered. How many times do you vote? Think about it. How many times do we vote? We vote, and how many positions for that matter? What are we going to vote for in November? Number one, you better be able to tell me that we're going to vote for a new president. What else do we vote for every 2 years? House of Reps. Then it's not Michigan, but other states are going to have to vote for, because it's every 6 years, a senator. Then a Michigan rep. Then a Michigan senator. Then a local city thing. Then another local city thing. Then in March, you're going to have to vote again. Then in June, you'll vote again. Then in August, there's another election. We vote all the time. People get tired of it, but that's not the only way that you can be a part of government. So that is what this is, civic competence. You know, you have a belief that you can affect government policies. Now, that graph that we looked at the other day was related to our political efficacy. What is our level for how competent we think we are? What do you know about how this works? So do you know the right way, if you want to make a change, to see that change actually happen? That means you have a high level of efficacy with a strong civic competence. And we might not vote as much, but we are much more active in the government, because typically when they vote, like in the UK, once every 5 years for, let's say, their members of parliament, they'll vote, then they just go home, and then that's it. Whatever they voted for, they're there, and then we just do what they tell us to do. Where for us, we have an idea that if they don't do what we want them to do, they're not performing their job the right way. So the expectation is if we put you in office, you better do what we want you to do. Other countries don't really have that. And the way to hold them accountable is civic duty and democratic elections. So those are other parts of the political culture. Now, when I was kind of getting at, the exchange students and looking at this is a great example. Actually, Matthias is, he's Swedish. So what is important to their culture is much different than what is important to our culture. And there are a lot of talks about like education, for instance, looking at the Finnish system in Finland, how their education system is thriving. They have a country of 5 million people, and they're basically one cultural ethnic group. Okay, so the transfer doesn't really fit all the time in a good comparison, but at the same time, we are different. So, for instance, Matthias's parents, what did they do? What did his dad do, Sam? Like his big accomplishment.
Oh, I know it's a civil engineering.
He helped invent something.
Yeah, it's
Why is this connected to the AirPlay right now?
Oh yeah, Bluetooth.
Bluetooth. So how much money do you think he's rolling with? A lot. His mom is a eye surgeon. So if that was in the United States, where would they live? Probably a big suburb like Birmingham or Royal Oak or something, not just along a street with their neighbor. Their house would probably be bigger. He didn't. He lived in Stockholm, normal house, and that was because there's no value placed on that, on a difference in income. We do. We buy more things. I mean, gosh, I guarantee you'd have nice cars, probably a boat, probably a cabin, whatever. What? You want a boat? Okay. Not a boat. But it's different. In Japan, and this is starting to come into a lot of business schools where they deal internationally quite a bit. So U of M's business school, my brother graduated from MIT, so he did this stuff a lot, where they work together. When you go through a class, it's not basically, they don't take individual tests necessarily. It's an overall product. And it's not like the group work that we're used to, where I know you're all familiar with it, where one person tends to dominate and then, everybody else, whatever. And I'm not saying you guys, I'm saying, other classes. I think you know what I'm saying. But they put so much value on the group effort, group contributions, there is no really individual accomplishment. You're not competing for positions in school. You're not competing for promotions. It's all treated as a group collaborative effort. So it's very much related to the culture that we have. So let's take a look at this idea of capitalism. Do we have an idea that capitalism is important in this country? What was the whole Cold War based on? Yeah, so I guess it's important. A long-running tension buildup of nuclear weapons. It was based on this. How do you deal with a market, a free market? And we believe everybody is responsible for their own, their own pursuits of money. Now, do we believe that if people absolutely need it, they should get assistance? As a country, do we believe that? That's what I'm asking. Yes. Do we believe do we all agree is what I'm saying? Do we all agree on what it means to qualify for welfare and what that welfare should be? Not even close. That's because it's a position issue. You split on it. It's your stance on an issue. That means it's a part of your ideology. We all do agree on helping people in need. That's kind of the whole idea of equality, civic duty. But at the same time, we don't agree on what it would be. And that's the difference between equality of opportunity compared to equality of results. Okay? We all have the same opportunity for becoming millionaires. That's the whole American dream. You can make as much money as you want. Do we still have the American dream in this country? Yeah. We still push it on you. You still grow up to it. You see the success stories. It's still there. Equality of results, though, would mean what?
Everybody has the same.
Socialism. Everybody makes the same. The results are the same. Everybody has the same chance. We don't need the same result. We don't need economic equality. We need the opportunity, to have the economic freedom that you want, which is where individual responsibility comes in. Where equality starts to have the position issues, the stances, the ideology. You are divided maybe on what that means, but we agree that it's important. So just kind of some other things looking at the different countries. We do not vote as much, but I would say we are more patriotic than any country on the planet, really. Maybe outside of North Korea. And I'm not saying that as a joke. I'm saying,
Well, they do that or die.
well, but it's still patriotic. I mean, isn't it? Wouldn't you say? I mean,
If they don't want to, they're just kind of doing it.
but
You either live or you die.
live or die. I mean, I guess, whatever. But here's my point. Do they have liberty to do what they want? Do they have equality in any way? No, they don't. So it's much different. And there are a lot of pieces that go into that. So for instance, religion in our country. Is religion important when it comes to politics? Raise your hand if you got an answer for this. Don't just respond. Is it important? Olivia?
Yes.
Very nice. Yes. Anybody else? Or want to elaborate, Olivia?
Okay, it's important, it's important to us, but we say it doesn't have anything to do with, politics or the country itself, because we have the state and religion have to be separated thing, but it still matters to us, I don't know. It's not supposed to matter to us.
It's not supposed to matter. Fred?
Well, it really doesn't matter. I would say people don't like to say that, so if we had someone that was born, like a president that was running, or someone that was running for president, and they, were Muslim, no one would want, a lot of people would be totally negative towards them. Or if someone was atheist and didn't believe in God or anything like that, they would lose a lot of votes, and not people wouldn't vote for them at all.
Okay. Damien?
I think it's important when you're comparing two really good candidates, and one's like Catholic and the other one is an atheist, I guess. And both of them have the same good qualities, but you choose Catholic one because you're Catholic, or you choose this. You go with one.
Okay, good. Paul? Josie, did you have your hand up too?
Yeah, I was just gonna say that religion affects your morals, so that kind of has a play in what side you take on certain issues.
I was just going to say what they
Okay. Chase?
It definitely does play a role right now, but it shouldn't, because everybody should be able to have whatever religion they want, so it shouldn't matter.
Okay.
Well, and the history of founding our country too, like the majority of our founding fathers were Christian, so a lot of, I think, just stuff.
How about all?
Yeah.
I mean, and how about all by label? We'll say that.
I didn't want to say it because I didn't want to be wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All by label. All by label.
More true statements. So a lot of the stuff that's written down, like why we run our country the way it is based off of
Michael.
Prime example of religion influencing governing laws.
Hold on. We're over here.
Same-sex marriage.
Okay, religion as a part of marriage, right? The a lot of Catholics, and not just Catholics either. But we one nation under God. That takes us actually more to this culture than you would think. Completely, not completely. I probably shouldn't say that, but it's pretty removed from religion. Why do we have one nation under God in our Pledge of Allegiance, girls? Why do we have one nation under God in Pledge of Allegiance? No, it was added. Tell me why. What did we just talk about that really was a source of tension for about 50 years? The Cold War, those godless Soviets. So we add the words in the Pledge of Allegiance, one nation under God. to show a further distinction between capitalism and communism. So, what religion was JFK? Catholic. How about Mitt Romney? Mormon. Is it important? Yes, absolutely. A lot of okay, what does President Obama say after every speech? God bless these United States. I mean, it is a part of our culture. I mean, whether you are Protestant, Christian, any denomination, Muslim, whatever, it is a part of our culture. So it does go hand in hand with what we experience. And it's interesting to me, we talk about how we are religious in this country. We're more religious than European countries. And that's really interesting to me because if you were to go to like Italy or something, or France for that matter, what religion is very prominent in France and Italy? Catholicism. They shut down on Sundays because of it. I mean, if you're in a small town, they shut down. We don't. But religion is still such a priority for our country compared to them. And because of that, there are certain things that happen. We talked about, the founding fathers and the ideals that they incorporated. So there are other parts that really happen also because of religion. So first, we are more likely to believe in something. Okay, we're more likely to believe in anything. Now, with that, we know that there are people who are not religious. That doesn't mean that they don't experience some of the same morals, but it means that they might get them from different places. So, in this case, compared to Europeans, we pray more. We believe in something more. Which means, with those morals, one of the big parts of a religious background, culturally speaking, and from the United States, I guess, is volunteering. So because of that, not only do they pray more and believe in something more, Americans are much more likely to help out people. Much more likely to believe in civic duty, helping the common good, promoting the welfare of everybody. And in the U.S., that's also true. And that's kind of what we're getting at down here. Religious people are more likely to do these things, statistically speaking. And that's not to say that somebody who doesn't believe in God, doesn't believe in any religion, is agnostic, atheist, that they aren't helpful people. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about statistics, and those are statistics right there. So more likely to volunteer, more likely to donate, and also this is something to just keep in mind. You have to think too that maybe the morals are from the religion are still a part of what maybe goes into the people who are volunteering and donating. Chase.
Why does it say 3 times?
3 times more likely, like statistically speaking, 3 times more likely. Good question. 3 times more likely. Now, you're talking about religion. Obviously, that's a huge source of where you get not only your values for what is important as a country, but then also where your political beliefs come from. But the number one place, and obviously religion is going to be very much attached to this, the number one place you get your views is your parents. Your parents. A lot of times, not from me. Don't get your views from me. Don't get your views from me. A lot of times, you're going to follow them because they've taught you what they believe, like, indiscreetly maybe. Or you might go the complete opposite because you just completely disagree with what they say. But they influence you nonetheless. So they do influence you. They do make an impact. And the family in our country is unique. There are Chinese families in our area, and they still follow kind of the hierarchy of a birth order. Firstborn son gets everything. Everybody else, sorry, we'll provide for you, I guess. So in our country, are you treated the same as your siblings? You might think you're the favorite. I am the favorite, but I'm not even kidding. but whatever. Who thinks that they're the favorite? Let's just go with that. Oh, come on. You all are just shaking your head. Your parents all love you. Okay, sore topic, I guess. Moving on. Hey, back up here. We are, in this country, this is what we talked about. This would have been, I think, what, Wednesday? What class do we belong to? This is evident of how equal we are, how much parity we believe amongst our families, but then also outside of our families. What class do we all label ourselves as? Middle class. Middle class. Across the board, we raised our hands. How many of you identify as middle class? Boom. We go up. That's just what our label is. We don't identify with professions, laborers, or business workers, professionals. We go with middle class. And that is because we do not think of ourselves as any different than the rest. Equality. We aren't aware of our class, our social class. We just all kind of group together as middle class. We don't think about the outside influence. So we know that there's a divide, and this is kind of where we finish. We know that there's a divide. Why? And a lot of it comes back to what you guys were talking about with religion. Your views on religion, maybe even. But it's a cultural war. So what I'm saying by that is we have these overall values that are evident in the Declaration, the Constitution, Martin Luther King's speeches, inaugural addresses. But we talk differently about the expectations for how they should happen. So when we deal with your private life, or what we should do in public as what is moral, we disagree. So for instance, what do some people think we should be able to do in public that other people don't? Give me an example. Breastfeeding. Progressively thinking, what is wrong with breastfeeding? Nothing. From an orthodox standpoint, though, Aaliyah, what are you taught from a very young age to do with your body? What are you taught to do? Cover up. Always. Be modest in public.
I mean, with Islam, you're just supposed to cover your whole body. And I know with women, you're not supposed to go outside, and eyes are only supposed to be shown, and head wraps, hijabs, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. And that is very much related to what you're taught early on. So that means like taught early on, what I'm saying is a traditional view of the way things should be. We call that an orthodox view of the way things they should be. That is our two camps. That progressive view, that we should advance based on the situation. Breastfeeding is an excellent example, Chase. Breastfeeding continues to be looked at and promoted by the progressive side of the cultural war.
I don't know. I just feel like there's some things that need to stay just the way they are, and I understand like what they mean by we should be able to do anything, especially with something that is so. Boobs aren't sexual. It's literally to create a baby.
And that is a part of a culture, right? I mean, we have made that part of our society removed from the function of what that body part does. So that is a very big part. We're out at 25, right?
Yep.
Okay, we're gonna have to put the brakes on. So I'll put this up. That means you'll have 2, and we'll finish Monday.
Anyways, my story.